In the heart of a simmering dynasty, Alexandria churned with intrigue and ambition. The year was 48 BC, a time when the fate of Egypt hung precariously in the balance. Cleopatra VII, brilliant and charismatic, feared for absolute control against her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. Their sibling rivalry had escalated into a bitter civil war, cleaving the kingdom in two. Into this maelstrom sailed Gaius Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome. He arrived not as a conqueror, but as an arbiter, ostensibly to settle the royal dispute. Caesar's presence, however, was a spark cast upon dry tinder. He summoned the feuding siblings to the royal palace, effectively making them his gilded prisoners. Cleopatra, ever the strategist, famously had herself smuggled to Caesar in a carpet. Her audacity and intellect quickly won the Roman general to her cause. There was another sister, watching from the shadows, her heart a knot of resentment. Arsinoe IV, the youngest daughter of the dynasty, felt her birthright being stolen. She was as much a Ptolemy as Cleopatra, a descendant of Alexander's great general. In her veins ran the blood of queens and pharaohs, a legacy she refused to see squandered. While Caesar and Cleopatra were entangled in their burgeoning alliance, Arsinoe saw her chance. She would not be a pawn in Caesar's game or a footnote in Cleopatra's history. With the help of her loyal tutor, the eunuch Ganymedes, she plotted a daring escape. Under the cloak of Alexandrian night, the young princess slipped past her Roman guards. Her destination was the camp of the Egyptian army, commanded by the general Achilles. This army, loyal to Ptolemy XIII, was already besieging Caesar in the palace district. Arsinoe's arrival was a seismic event, a rallying cry for the native cause. Here was a true Ptolemy, free from Roman influence, ready to lead them. The soldiers, filled with nationalist fervor, immediately proclaimed her queen. Arsinoe, no longer a forgotten princess, was now the figurehead of a massive revolt. Her first act was to challenge the authority of the army's commander, Achilles. She believed his strategy was failing, his leadership lacking. The power struggle was swift and brutal, a microcosm of the larger war. Sensing his own position was threatened, Achilles sent assassins to kill her. But Arsinoe, guided by the cunning Ganymedes, struck first. She accused Achilles of treason and had him executed. In his place, she appointed her loyal tutor Ganymedes as the supreme commander. With the army now firmly under her control, Arsinoe intensified the siege. Ganymedes proved to be a resourceful and ruthless tactician. He devised a plan to defeat Caesar not with swords, but with thirst. He ordered his engineers to pump seawater into the underground canals that supplied the palace. The fresh water supply for Caesar's trapped legions quickly became contaminated. Panic began to spread through the Roman ranks as their canteens ran dry. Caesar, ever the problem solver, refused to be beaten. He ordered his men to dig deep wells along the shoreline within their perimeter. Miraculously, they struck fresh water, averting disaster and boosting morale. War then shifted to the great harbor of Alexandria. Control of the sea was crucial for supplies and reinforcements. Arsinoe's forces held the magnificent lighthouse of Pharos, one of the wonders of the ancient world. From this strategic point, they could control access to the harbor. Caesar knew he had to capture the causeway, the heptastagion, that connected the island to the mainland. A fierce naval battle erupted around the island. Roman discipline clashed with Egyptian numbers and knowledge of the local waters. During one brutal engagement, Caesar's own vessel was overwhelmed. To avoid capture, the 53-year-old general was forced to jump into the sea. He reportedly swam to safety, holding vital papers above the water with one hand and his purple general's cloak in his teeth. It was a humiliating setback, a victory for Arsinoe's forces. The fighting in the city itself was relentless and brutal. Every street, every alley, every rooftop became a battlefield. During the chaos, fire broke out near the docks. The flames spread to nearby buildings, including a warehouse where scrolls from the Great Library were stored. A priceless repository of ancient knowledge was lost to the fires of war. For months, the city bled, locked in a deadly stalemate. Caesar was trapped, and Arsinoe's dream of ruling Egypt seemed within her grasp. However, the Alexandrian citizens began to tire of Ganymedes' tyrannical rule. His arrogance and high-handed methods had alienated many. Delegation of citizens approached Caesar with a surprising proposal. They asked him to release Ptolemy XIII, their boy king. They reasoned that Ptolemy would surely dismiss the unpopular Ganymedes and make peace. Caesar, a shrewd judge of character, suspected a trap but saw an opportunity. He agreed to release the young king, finding a belief in his peaceful intentions. Ptolemy XIII, upon being freed, did exactly what Caesar had anticipated. Instead of ending the war, he joined it with renewed vigor, taking supreme command. Arsinoe, the queen who had started the revolt, was unceremoniously cast aside. Her authority vanished, her role usurped by the brother she despised. She had been a useful symbol, but now she was an inconvenience. Just as the situation seemed most dire for Caesar, help arrived. A relief force led by Mithridates of Pergamon marched towards Egypt. Caesar broke out of Alexandria to link up with his reinforcements. The final, decisive confrontation took place at the Battle of the Nile. The veteran Roman legions were superior in tactics and discipline. The Egyptian army, despite its numbers, was routed. Ptolemy XIII attempted to flee across the river on an overloaded boat. The boat capsized, and the young king, weighed down by his golden armor, drowned. His death marked the definitive end of the Alexandrian War. With the Egyptian army shattered, Arsinoe was found and captured. Her brief, tumultuous reign as the people's queen was over. Caesar returned to Alexandria as the undisputed victor. He installed Cleopatra firmly on the throne of Egypt. To maintain Ptolemaic tradition, she was nominally co-ruler with her youngest brother, Ptolemy XIV. But Arsinoe's fate was to be a tool for Roman propaganda. She was taken to Rome as a prize of war. In 46 BC, Caesar celebrated a magnificent triumph for his victories in Gaul, Egypt, Pontus, and Africa. The highlight of the Egyptian portion of the parade was the captive princess, Arsinoe. She was forced to walk in chains, a symbol of Caesar's conquest. She walked behind a representation of the Pharaoh's lighthouse, perhaps even a model of it on fire. This was the ultimate humiliation for a queen, a descendant of Alexander. However, an unexpected thing happened. The Roman people, seeing the young, proud princess in her misery, were moved to pity. Their murmurs of discontent grew so loud that they unsettled Caesar himself. Traditionally, high-profile captives were strangled at the end of a triumph. But due to the crowd's reaction, Caesar spared Arsinoe's life. Instead of death, she was granted exile. She was sent to the great temple of Artemis in Ephesus, a sanctuary city. There she lived for several years as a political refugee, a queen without a kingdom. She was a constant, lingering threat to Cleopatra's security. As long as Arsinoe lived, there was another claimant to the Egyptian throne. In 41 BC, Cleopatra's new ally and lover, Mark Antony, controlled the eastern provinces of Rome. Cleopatra saw her chance to eliminate her rival once and for all. She persuaded Antony that her sister was a danger that needed to be removed. Antony dispatched assassins to Ephesus, a shocking act of sacrilege. They dragged Arsinoe from the steps of the temple, violating its sacred sanctuary. There, on the holy ground where she had sought refuge, Cleopatra's last sibling rival was murdered. Arsinoe's revolt had failed, but her story echoed as a testament to her defiance. She was the queen who dared to challenge both her sister and the might of Rome.